Hello. Today we're finally touching on lesson 100, and the one objective for lesson 100 is simplify decimal numbers. The title of the lesson is titled Simplifying Decimal Numbers, and it is found on page 400 or 650. That's where this lesson will begin. Now, simplifying decimal numbers is not nearly as difficult as simplifying fractions, but we will discuss it very shortly. First, I'll read the new concept found on page 650. It's a little bit lengthy, but do your best to follow along, and if you need to rewind the video after I'm finished, feel free. It says, when we write numbers, we usually write them in the simplest form. To simplify a number, we change the form of the number, but we do not change the value of the number. For example, we simplify fractions by reducing. Often we can simplify decimal numbers by removing unnecessary zeros. We will explain this by simplifying 20 hundredths. Okay, first I want you to understand that just because you have a number like 0 and 20 hundredths doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just not in its most reduced form. We want to see these numbers in their most reduced form because it makes them the easiest to work with. Okay? Understanding that 4/8 is equal to 1/2, and 1/2 is its most reduced form. That doesn't mean that 4/8 is wrong, and you can work with 4/8 and you can use it, but 1/2 is its most simplified form, its most reduced form. Just like 0 and 2/10 is 20 hundredths most reduced form. We can get rid of this 0. Again, maybe sometimes we want to use 20 hundredths. Maybe sometimes it's easier to work with this number versus 0 and 2/10. But again, typically we want to see these numbers in their most reduced form. Okay, we're going to work with the number 0 and 20 hundredths now. Right, the next paragraph, second paragraph on page 650 says the decimal number 0 and 20 hundredths has a 2 in the tenths place and a 0 in the hundredths place. The 0 in the hundredths place means no hundredths. If we remove that 0 from 20 hundredths, we get 20 tenths. If we get rid of that 0. The number 0 and 2/10 also has a 2 in the tenths place and no hundredths. Thus, 0 and 20 hundredths is equal to 0 and 2/10. We say that 0 and 20 hundredths simplifies to 0 and 2/10. Okay? 0 and 20 hundredths is equal to 0 and 2 hundredths. Understanding that there's a 0 in the ones place, the decimal is in the same place, and the 2 is in the same place. This represents no value. Okay? As does no number. It represents no value. Okay, let's look a little bit further. It says we can remove zeros from the front of whole numbers or in the back of decimal numbers. Okay? If numbers are to the left of the last whole number or to the right of the last decimal numbers, you do not need them. If they fall in between those two numbers or in between a whole number and a decimal, okay? This is the number 20 and 1/100th. These two need to be here. These do not. Okay? To simplify 200 thousandths, okay, to simplify that, we can of course get rid of these two zeros. The 2 needs to be there. This 0, typically they always show some value in the ones place, so they will put a 0 and 2/10. But you might see it like this every now and then. But for the sake of our class, I would like you to put this 0 in the ones place, just to represent that there is no value in the ones place, to the left of the decimal. Alright, let's look at example 1. Example 1 you will be putting in your 3-subject notebooks. It says Otis added 3 and 75 hundredths to 2 and 75 hundredths and found that the sum was 6 and 50 hundredths. Simplify the sum. Well, I see that I have a 0 to the right of the last decimal number. so I can get rid of it. 6 and 50 hundredths is equal to 6 and 5 tenths. You will write 6 and 5 tenths on example 1. Okay, example 2. It says, attach a 0 to the end of 5 without changing the value of the number. Okay? Attach a 0 to the end of 5 without changing the value of the number. When they say the end, this would be the beginning. So we can't put it on that side. We have to put it on this side. Alright? Now if we just write the number 50, does that change the value of 5? Yes, 50 is of course a lot bigger than 5. But if we place our decimal point in here where it is supposed to be, 5 and 0 tenths, we attached a 0 to the end of the 5. We did not change its value because we placed our decimal point in between it. So your answer is 5 and 0 tenths. You do have to write 5 as an, I guess, an unsimplified number. Alright, example 3, we're going to do some of the lesson practice. For example 3, let's look at just practice problem A. It says we have a 0, 3.20. It says simplify this decimal number. You're going to write this number down, for example 3, this answer down. To simplify this, we can of course get rid of this 0 and this 0, and a simplified answer of 3 and 2 tenths is our final product. Okay, the next one, let's do this for example 4. Okay, example 4, it gives us the number 3 and 20 thousandths. Now which zeros can we remove without changing the value? Can we remove this 0 without changing the value? Yes. Okay, it falls on the end of the last decimal number. What? Girls, okay, get out of here. I'm going to finish this and then you can come in. Okay? Yes, goodbye. You want to come say hello?
Yeah.
Okay, hurry up. Okay, we cannot get rid of this 0 because that would affect the value of the number. Okay, come say hi. You have to come on this side.
No.
You have to come on this side.
No.
Okay, then you have to leave.
Go, you guys. Okay, hello.
Yes. Okay, I don't want to redo the entire thing, so go now.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
I know we're wild back. Never bye. Taking the video.
Okay, finally for
Come on, let's go.
example 5. For example 5, we have practice problem H. It says attach a 0 to the end of 2 and 5 tenths without changing its value. So we have the number 2 and 5 tenths. We need to attach a 0 to the end of this number without changing its value. Okay? The end is, of course, on the right side. The beginning would be on the left side. If we attached a 0 without changing its value, we would place it right there. Would we put it, I guess, here? Would we put it here? No, of course not, because that would affect the value. 20 and 5 tenths is different from 2 and 5 tenths. 2 and 5 hundredths is different than 2 and 5 tenths. But 2 and 50 hundredths, it is the same value as 2 and 5 tenths. So the 0 that you would place would fall on the right side of the last decimal number without changing the value. And again, this is going to be your answer for example 5, I think. Yes. Alright, sorry about those girls coming in. Hopefully they didn't distract us too much. You can fast forward through them. Have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow.